Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to share something very close to my heart, and honestly, life-changing. The topic is how to improve your English to an advanced level. Now, I know that sounds like a big goal, right? Maybe you're already speaking a little English. Maybe you can understand most conversations, or maybe you've been learning for years. But something is missing. You still hesitate. You don't feel fluent. You're stuck between I know English and I speak like a native. If that sounds like you, then stay with me. Because today I'm sharing my full story, how I moved from basic English to an advanced level here in the United States, and how you can too. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, and let's dive into this journey together. So, my name is Isabella, and I live in Austin, Texas now. But let me take you back to where it all started. I was born and raised in a small town outside of San Antonio, and even though I studied English in school, I wasn't confident at all. I could read, I could write simple sentences, but speaking? No way. Every time someone talked to me in English, my brain just froze. I knew the words, but I couldn't connect them. I was scared of making mistakes. I felt embarrassed. But deep inside, I always dreamed of becoming fluent. Not just good, but advanced. I wanted to think in English, speak naturally, and sound like a native speaker one day. And guess what? That day did come. But it wasn't magic. It was a process. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did, and what you can do too. Step 1. Make English your world. This was the first big change. I stopped treating English like a subject and started treating it like a lifestyle. Everything I did, music, movies, YouTube, even my phone settings, I switched it all to English. I remember one day, I was watching The Office on Netflix. At first, I didn't understand all the jokes, but I kept watching. I paused when I needed to, wrote down funny phrases, and slowly I started understanding the humor. That's when I realized language is not just grammar, it's culture. To reach an advanced level, you need to make English your environment. Surround yourself. Live it. Don't just study English, live in English. Step 2. Speak even when it feels awkward. Speaking was the hardest part for me. I remember being so scared of talking, especially with native speakers in Austin. But I learned something important. You don't improve by thinking, you improve by speaking. So I made a challenge for myself. Every day I had to speak English, no matter what. I used language exchange apps. I joined online English meetups. I even started talking to myself in the mirror. Yes, I literally stood in front of my mirror and had fake conversations with myself. Hi, how are you today? I'm good, just finished my work. You? Oh, not bad. I had a long day, but I'm surviving. It sounds silly, but it works. The more I spoke, even to myself, the more confident I became. Then I started recording voice notes on my phone. I would describe my day in English. Later, I'd listen and check my mistakes. This helped me fix pronunciation and learn to speak clearly. Step 3. Read and listen at the same time. Reading and listening together helped me like crazy. I downloaded audiobooks, especially stories or novels I already knew in my own language, and read along with the audio. It trained my ears, improved my vocabulary, and showed me how native speakers pronounce words in real situations. One of my favorite books was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I had read it before in my own language, so when I listened to the English version, I already knew the story. That made it easier to understand and enjoy. I also listened to podcasts, like The English We Speak and All Ears English, just 15 to 20 minutes a day. I listened while cooking, walking, or even doing laundry. The key is consistency. Step 4. Write like you're talking to a friend. I used to think writing had to be formal. But when you want to get advanced in English, you need to write like you're having a conversation. So I started journaling in English every night. Just a few sentences. Today, I went to Target and bought new notebooks. I talked to the cashier in English. I felt nervous, but I did it. It sounds simple, but over time, it helped me build sentence structure, use natural expressions, and learn to think in English. Another thing I did? I started writing Instagram captions in English. Even if it was just a photo of my coffee, I'd write, "Best way to start the day, coffee cup, sun, narc English learning." It pushed me to be creative in English in a real way. Step 5. Study smart, not hard. I stopped memorizing long vocabulary lists. Instead, I learned words in context. When I watched a movie or read something, I wrote down phrases, not just words. For example, instead of just learning excited, I wrote, "I'm so excited about this weekend." She looked excited to meet her friends. That way, I learned how to actually use the word. It made a huge difference. Also, I focused on collocations, words that go together naturally, like make a decision, not do a decision, strong coffee, not hard coffee. These little things make your English sound more advanced and native-like. Step 6. Learn from real life. One time, I went to a cafe in Dallas and ordered coffee. The barista asked, "For here or to go?" I froze. I had no idea what that meant. But I learned. For here means you'll drink it there. To go means you'll take it away. That little experience taught me something that no textbook ever did. So I started learning from real life. I paid attention to signs, conversations, menus, small talk. Every real-world interaction became a lesson. If someone said something I didn't understand, I noted it and searched later. Or asked them. Most people were kind and happy to help. That's how I picked up real expressions like, "I'm good, thanks for asking." "No worries." "That's awesome." Step 7. Advanced grammar. Without stress, grammar is important, yes, but you don't have to be perfect to sound advanced. Instead of focusing on every rule, I focused on patterns. For example, when do people say have been doing? How do people use would have in conversations? I paid attention to how native speakers use these forms. Then I copied those patterns in my own speech. And slowly, grammar stopped being confusing. It started to feel natural. Step 8. Practice thinking in English. This changed everything. At first, it was hard. My brain wanted to think in my first language and translate, but I trained it. While walking to work, I'd think, "Okay, after I reach the office, I'll reply to that email. Then I'll call the client." No translations. Just English thoughts. This is how you move to the advanced level. Your brain becomes comfortable thinking directly in English. No more switching. Step 9. Accept mistakes and keep going, Kinde. I was talking to a coworker and I said, "I cooked my project." She looked confused, and I realized, "Oh no, I meant I finished my project." We both laughed, and I corrected myself. Mistakes are part of the process. Don't be afraid of them. Even native speakers mess up. The key is, don't stop speaking. Correct yourself and move on. Confidence grows with practice, not perfection. Step 10. Create your English identity. This one is personal. I started to see myself not as a learner, but as a bilingual person, someone who lives in England. I even gave myself an English name for fun, just to build that identity. I built confidence by celebrating small wins. First conversation, win. First job interview in English, win. First time dreaming in English, huge win. Your journey is unique. Own it. You don't need to speak like someone else. You need to speak like you in English. So, I thought I was done. But here's the thing, learning English never really ends. Even now, living in the United States, I find new challenges every single day. Let me tell you about a few moments that pushed me from good to true advanced fluency, and how you can use these experiences too. A surprising lesson at a book club one chilly evening in Boston. I joined a local book club focused on contemporary American novels. I wasn't sure what to expect. Would I understand the themes, the jokes, the cultural references? The group picked The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, a particularly dense and slang-heavy text. At our first meeting, everyone was tossing around phrases like faux pas, meta-narrative, and deadpan wit, discussing nuanced symbolism. I panicked. My notes were full of basic vocabulary, but instead of hiding, I leaned in. I asked questions. When you say magical realism, how does that shape your reading of the novel? Everyone paused, and then started explaining. That moment taught me to embrace discomfort. Advanced English isn't about flawless performance. It's about jumping into the deep end. Ask clarifying questions. Admit when you don't know a phrase or cultural allusion. You'll be surprised how generous native speakers can be when they see genuine curiosity. Immersion spree. Living with a host family. Next, I decided to go all in. I spent 2 months living with an American host family in Portland, Oregon. Every morning, I woke up to conversations at the breakfast table about local politics and the upcoming farmers market. At night, we'd debate which Portland band was really underground. I had no script, just raw, unfiltered English 24/7. This immersion taught me three key things: speed and rhythm. Listening to natural speech patterns helped me catch the musicality of English, how syllables stretch or contract in casual talk. Idioms everywhere. I learned that hit the sack doesn't literally mean anything about sacks, and that spill the tea had nothing to do with sloppy tables. Culture is language. Understanding references to TV shows, local food, or sports teams, yes, even the Seahawks, made me feel part of conversations rather than an observer. From learner to mentor, one of the biggest confidence boosters came when I started volunteering to teach English at a community center in Seattle. At first, I was terrified. Standing in front of a class, correcting mistakes, explaining grammar points. But here's the catch. Teaching others forced me to articulate why we say, "I wish I had known," instead of, "I wish I knew." I had to break down subtle tenses and conditional forms, explaining phrasal verbs like run into versus bump into, or nuances between "I'm going to start" and "I'll start," made me revisit rules I'd long since internalized. Suddenly, I not only used advanced structures, I understood them at a deeper level. And guess what? My own fluency soared. Mastering the art of small talk and beyond advanced conversations often hinge on small talk that leads to meaningful discussion. So I practiced opening lines everywhere. In coffee shops, "How's your morning going?" On the subway, "Do you take this line often?" Even in the elevator, "Crazy weather we're having, right?" But then I'd push myself further. After the small talk, I'd introduce a deeper topic. "I've been reading about sustainable living. What's your take on composting at home?" "I just watched a documentary on the American healthcare system. Any thoughts?" These bridges turned surface-level chatter into real engagement. And each time, I got more comfortable using complex vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, and confident intonation. Advanced listening, beyond podcasts. If you want to level up your listening skills, don't just stick to learner-focused podcasts. I subscribe to NPR shows like Fresh Air, Planet Money, and Radiolab. The narrators speak at a native pace, use high-level vocabulary, and reference current events and academic concepts. At first, I replayed segments over and over. I wrote down unfamiliar terms, like cognitive dissonance or gene editing, then researched them. Over time, I built the ability to follow complex arguments in real time without pausing. Cultural fluency. The X factor. Here's an often overlooked truth. Advanced language, advanced culture. I made a point to attend local theater plays, music festivals, and museum talks. I'd listen to a poetry slam in Chicago, devour art critiques at the Art Institute, chat about baseball stats at a Cubs game. These experiences taught me references to the American dream, manifest destiny, or the Midwest ethos, all cultural touchstones peppering everyday conversations. Building a personal vocabulary journal. My final deep dive hack was to keep a running vocabulary vault. But instead of single words, I collected collocations, expressions, and sample sentences. Every time I heard someone say, "I'm on the fence about that," I scribbled it down. When I learned to toe the line, it went in my vault with context. She had to toe the line at work, even if she disagreed with the new policy. Reviewing these entries weekly helped me internalize subtle shades of meaning, something most textbooks never teach. Where I am now and where you can go next. Fast forward to today, and I'm not just comfortable in English, I'm thriving. I host community events, lead workshops, and yes, I create YouTube videos about language learning. But none of this happened overnight. Your path will have stumbles. You might hit a plateau, feel frustrated, or wonder if it's worth it. Trust me, it is. Every single strategy I've shared comes from real moments of struggle and triumph. So here's your action plan to continue this journey. Join a local conversation group, coffee shops, libraries, meetup.com. Teach someone else, tutor a friend, or volunteer online. Immerse yourself. Live, read, watch, and think in English as much as possible. Collect and review advanced phrases, idioms, and collocations weekly. Push your comfort zone. Attend events. Ask deep questions. Start discussions. And just when I thought I'd covered everything, life found new ways to challenge and refine my English. Here are a few more real moments that shaped my advanced fluency, and that you can learn from too. I remember the first time I had to give a client presentation in San Francisco. My heart was racing. A room full of investors, slides packed with numbers, and me, the non-native speaker, up front. I pictured every possible mistake and even practiced the worst-case scenario. Pleased to see you all today. Let me go back to this slide. But preparation was my secret weapon. I scripted not just the content, but the transitions. Now that we've explored our market trends, let's dive into our financial projections. I practiced those lines until they felt as natural as greeting a friend. And during the actual presentation, something surprising happened. I forgot my nerves. I was in the flow. The audience nodded, asked questions. Could you elaborate on your EBITDA assumptions? And I responded confidently, weaving in new phrases I'd recently learned like risk adjusted returns and dynamic scaling. When it was over, I realized that speaking in high pressure situations isn't about perfection, it's about owning your message and trusting your preparation. A few months later, I moved to New York City for a networking event with fellow content creators. Picture this: a rooftop bar overlooking the skyline, cocktail in hand, dozens of people you've never met. My usual instinct was to hang back, but I challenged myself to approach three strangers and start a genuine conversation. I opened with something local. Isn't the Empire State Building stunning at sunset? From there, we talked shop, video editing tips, SEO hacks, the latest TikTok trends, and I practiced weaving in idioms like calling the shots and ahead of the curve. By the end of the night, I'd exchanged contacts with 5 people and felt a new level of ease chatting with industry pros. Back in Austin, I also tackled the arena of professional writing. I volunteered to draft press releases for a startup. Writing formal documents forced me to balance clarity with the right register. Too casual sounded unprofessional. Too formal sounded stilted. I studied examples from the Wall Street Journal, noticing how journalists blend approachable language with technical accuracy. The new feature enables seamless integration across platforms. By modeling my writing on real press materials, I learned to strike that sweet spot. At the same time, I joined a local Toastmasters chapter in Chicago. Weekly speeches, impromptu table topics, and constructive feedback sharpened my public speaking skills. One week, I gave a 5-minute talk on my cat's morning routine. Ridiculous, right? But the exercise taught me to organize thoughts quickly, tell a story with punchlines and pauses, and modulate my tone for effect. Then came the fascinating world of academic reading. I signed up for a free online course on machine learning offered by a top U.S. university. Suddenly, I was wading through research papers dense with jargon, overfitting, gradient descent, regularization. I created a research notebook where I paraphrased abstracts in my own words and later discussed them with a study group on Slack. That practice didn't just expand my technical vocabulary, it trained me to follow complex arguments and explain them in plain English to non-experts. One of my favorite breakthroughs happened at a poetry slam in Philadelphia. A poet performed lines full of metaphors, slang, and rapid-fire rhythm. At first, I missed half the words, but afterward, I approached her and said, "Your poem about broken sidewalks really spoke to me. Could you explain the metaphor?" She laughed and dove into her creative process. That exchange taught me how to decode dense, artistic language and connect it to real-world meaning. Finally, there's the subtle art of humor and sarcasm, often the last frontier for non-native speakers. I started watching classic American sitcoms with scripts online, pausing to look up jokes or double entendres. Then I practiced shadowing the actors, repeating lines exactly as they said them, mimicking timing and tone. Suddenly, I found myself cracking witty comebacks with friends. They say time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana. I won't lie, it took months of awkward mimicry. But today, I can toss out a playful pun or a deadpan remark without blinking. So, where does that leave you? Here's your next level challenge. Own a high stakes moment. Volunteer for a presentation, pitch, or performance. Network fearlessly. Start conversations at events, even if it's just commenting on the weather or the venue. Write professionally. Draft a newsletter, a press release, or a formal email. Model it on established publications. Join a speaking group. Toastmasters or any improv class will teach you spontaneity. Dive into research. Pick a topic you love, read a scholarly article, and explain it in your own words. Embrace creative language. Poetry slams, comedy specials, or sitcom scripts. Learn how humor really works. Digital deep dive. Leveraging social media platforms. I discovered that social media isn't just for scrolling. It can be your personal language lab. First, I committed to posting one short video clip in English every week on Instagram stories. Sometimes it was me describing my breakfast. This avocado toast is chef's kiss. And sometimes it was a quick tip. Pro tip: learn phrasal verbs by grouping them by theme. The comments section became a mini classroom. Followers corrected my prepositions, cheered my idioms, and recommended new slang I hadn't heard. Then I joined a private Facebook group for English enthusiasts in Los Angeles. Members would share challenges, like use 5 military idioms in one sentence, and we'd record videos responding to each other. That playful competition turbocharged my vocabulary recall and got me comfortable using colorful expressions under a bit of pressure. Advanced pronunciation. Fine-tuning your accent, even at an advanced level, small pronunciation tweaks can dramatically boost clarity and confidence. I invested in a short course with a speech coach from New York University who specializes in received pronunciation versus general American. We focused on trouble spots, the difference between O in thought versus the A sound in father, or the flap T sound in city, which sounds almost like a quick D. After each session, I recorded myself reading poetry by Robert Frost. Poetry forces you to attend to rhythm, stress, and melody. When I compared my recordings from week to week, the shift was undeniable. Listeners said I sounded more natural, more fluid. Cultural exchange, hosting and attending language. Meetups language is a two-way street. To deepen my cultural fluency, I started hosting a monthly global coffee chat in Miami. I'd book a corner of a cafe, invite both native speakers and learners, and set a theme, anything from Florida wildlife to local music scenes. As moderator, I practiced guiding discussions. Okay, let's hear from someone who's never been to the Everglades, and steering the group when conversations veered off course. In exchange, I attended storytelling nights at a local community center where people from all over the world shared tales from their homelands. My role shifted. Sometimes I was the learner, sometimes the cultural ambassador. Each story taught me new idioms, like tall order or run a tight ship, and reminded me that language is woven from the fabric of real lives. Publications and presentations. Writing an article for a magazine. Want to cement your advanced English? Write for a real audience. I pitched an article to an online magazine based in Seattle called Pacific Northwest Voices. My piece, How Coffee Culture Fuels Creativity in the PNW, required interviewing local artists, crafting polished quotes, and following a strict editorial style guide. The publication process was a masterclass in precision. My editor flagged passive constructions. It was decided. Suggested stronger transitions. Moreover, conversely, and asked me to clarify idiomatic phrases. By the time the article went live, I'd tightened both my writing mechanics and my ability to adapt register, from conversational blog tone to professional magazine style. Staying motivated, tracking progress, and celebrating milestones. Finally, the secret sauce to any long-term goal is motivation. I set up a simple English wins spreadsheet in Google Sheets, logging every milestone, big or small. First time ordering coffee in perfect English, nailed a 500-word impromptu speech at Toastmasters. Got featured in an English language podcast every month. I'd review my wins, update my next set of goals, and reward myself. A new book, a weekend road trip, or a fancy latte at that cafe I love. Seeing the list grow reminded me how far I'd come, even on days when progress felt invisible. Your final playbook post, weekly. Use Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube to share short, authentic videos in English. Invest in accent work. A few targeted pronunciation sessions can pay huge dividends. Host and attend. Create or join local meetups. Alternate between learner and leader roles. Write for publication. Pitch an article or guest post. Real feedback beats textbook exercises. Log your wins. Keep a milestone journal and celebrate every achievement. Harnessing technology. AI and apps as your personal coach. I used to shy away from language learning apps, thinking they were for beginners. But when I experimented with AI chatbots, like an early version of ChatGPT, I realized they could simulate endless patient conversation. I'd log on after dinner and ask, "Can you quiz me on 10 advanced phrasal verbs?" Let's role-play a job interview for a marketing manager position. The bot never tired of correcting my mistakes or offering new idioms. And because it's available 24/7, I could practice at 2 a.m. if inspiration struck. Alongside AI, I leaned on specialized apps for vocabulary review, spaced repetition systems like Anki, and pronunciation feedback, apps that use speech recognition to highlight stress patterns. By combining human interaction with tech tools, I closed gaps in my learning more quickly than ever before. Certifications and credentials, turning fluency into proof. At one point, I decided to validate my skills with a formal certificate. I chose the TOEFL IBT exam, not because I needed it for university, but to set a clear target. Studying for TOEFL taught me to master integrated speaking tasks, summarizing reading plus listening passages, academic writing, crafting well-structured essays under time pressure, listening to lectures, following detailed academic discourse, scoring in the 100-plus range on a 120-point scale didn't just boost my resume. It showed me I could perform under exam conditions, handle a variety of accents, and write with sophisticated coherence. Whether or not you need a certificate, preparing for one can sharpen all 4 core skills: cross-cultural mastery, reading between the lines. One subtle challenge at the advanced level is understanding what's not said, the subtext. I learned this by volunteering as a cultural liaison for exchange students at a university in Los Angeles. During orientation sessions, I noticed that American small talk often serves a social function. How was your weekend? Isn't just curiosity. It's a way to invite deeper connection if someone mentions a hobby. You look busy can segue into a genuine offer to help. By observing these patterns, I started picking up on tone shifts when a comment was purely polite versus when it was a real invitation for follow up. This cultural decoding helped me avoid awkward misreads and respond more naturally. Building a portfolio, showcasing your English in action. Want to prove your advanced level? Create tangible work. I launched a mini blog called English Elevate Express. Yes, the name stuck. I wrote analytical posts on topics I loved, everything from film reviews to startup case studies. Each post required me to research current trends, synthesize information with my own insights, write in a clear, engaging style, edit for tone, coherence, and idiomatic precision. Sharing these posts on LinkedIn and Medium attracted attention from editors and recruiters and forced me to maintain a high bar for my writing. Conferences and workshops, real-world immersion. Last year, I attended a 3-day creative writing workshop in Portland. Imagine 10 writers from around the world, each pitching a short story, receiving feedback, and discussing narrative techniques. The intensive atmosphere, late-night brainstorming, early morning drafts, peer critiques, was the ultimate language boot camp. By the end, I drafted a 2,000-word fiction piece entirely in English and given a 10-minute author talk on stage. The adrenaline, the collaborative spirit, the instant feedback loop. There's nothing quite like it for leveling up both your language skills and your creative confidence. Personal reflection, your ongoing journey. I keep a simple journal prompt each Sunday evening. What new English word or phrase did I use this week? What cultural insight did I gain? Where did I feel most proud in my communication? Reviewing these reflections helps me see progress I'd otherwise overlook. Some weeks, I celebrate cracking a pun. Other weeks, I congratulate myself for navigating a technical webinar without notes. Your next moves, you've already tackled so much. Now, pick one bonus challenge that excites you most. AI Roleplay. Schedule 3 15-minute AI conversations this week. Mock certification. Download a TOEFL or IELTS practice test and set a date. Cultural decode. Attend a free local event, a gallery opening, a meetup, and note 3 unspoken communication rituals. Portfolio start. Write your first 300-word blog post on a topic you love. Then share it with a mentor. Workshop immersion. Find an online or in-person creative writing or public speaking workshop and sign up. And that, my friends, is everything I've learned so far and continue to learn on this lifelong journey to advanced English. Remember, every video you watch, every conversation you have, every sentence you write is another step forward. If you're still with me, drop a star emoji in the comments and tell me which bonus challenge you'll tackle next. Let's keep growing together, because with persistence, curiosity, and a little bit of courage, there's no limit to how far your English can take you. Here are 20 powerful tips and tricks, with deep dive explanations, to propel your English from comfortable fluency to true advanced mastery. These aren't quick hacks, but proven strategies you can weave into your daily life for real, lasting progress. 1. Think in English, not translate why it matters. Translating in your head slows you down and creates unnatural phrasing. How to do it? During routine tasks, showering, cooking, narrate what you're doing directly in English. I'm adding 2 eggs, now whisking them. Use sticky notes on objects, refrigerator, microwave, toothbrush, and practice seeing the English word first. When you catch yourself translating, gently switch to forming thoughts in English. It'll feel awkward at first, but this habit is the gateway to spontaneous, native-style speech. 2. Shadow native speakers. Why it matters. Mimicking rhythm, intonation, and mouth movements ingrains natural pronunciation. How to do it. Pick short clips, 30 to 60 seconds, of a TED Talk or podcast. Play the clip and immediately repeat aloud in time with the speaker, matching their speed and stress. Record yourself, then compare. Focus on matching pauses and pitch changes. Gradually increase clip length and decrease reliance on subtitles. 3. Learn collocations and chunks, not isolated words. Why it matters. Native speakers think in multi-word units, chunks, not single words. How to do it. When you learn a new word, write down 2 to 3 common collocations, e.g., for achieve goals, achieve success, achieve fluency. Use corpora-based websites, COCA, Lingue, to see real-world examples. Create flashcards where each card shows an entire phrase or sentence, not just a word. 4. Speak to yourself, out loud. Why it matters. Low-stakes practice eliminates fear of judgment. How to do it. Stand before a mirror and have conversations on everyday topics, your plans, a recent news story, or a hobby. Time yourself, e.g., 2 minutes explaining how to bake a cake, then review and refine. Notice filler words, you know, and consciously replace them with pauses or stronger vocabulary. 5. Use spaced repetition for vocabulary. Why it matters. It moves words from short-term to long-term memory efficiently. How to do it. Install Anki or Memories. Add new advanced words, idioms, and collocations as you encounter them. Review daily, then gradually increase intervals between reviews. 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days. 6. Engage in themed role plays, why it matters. Simulates real-life scenarios and primes you for specific vocabulary and structures. How to do it. Choose a context, job interview, doctor's appointment, pitch meeting. Write a simple script, questions you might be asked, answers you'd give. Role play with a friend, tutor, or AI partner. Swap roles so you practice both asking and answering. Afterward, note mistakes and refine your script. 7. Read aloud, every day, why it matters. Combines pronunciation, intonation, and reading comprehension practice. How to do it. Select short articles from The Atlantic, The Guardian, or academic journals. Read a paragraph aloud, pausing to look up any unfamiliar words or structures. Focus on stress patterns in multisyllabic words, e.g., photograph, Entertainment. Record yourself periodically to track progress. 8. Keep a mistake log. Why it matters. Turns errors into learning gold. How to do it. Whenever someone corrects you, verb tense, preposition, word choice, write it down immediately with the correct form. Organize entries by category: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. Review weekly and create mini quizzes for yourself. 9. Immerse via niche content. Why it matters. Deepens both subject matter and language knowledge. How to do it. Identify your passions, technology, cooking, fashion, and follow specialized YouTube channels, blogs, or podcasts in English. Take notes on jargon and idioms unique to that field. Use what you learn by writing a short summary or presenting the topic to a friend. 10th, practice elaborated responses. Why it matters. Trains you to handle open-ended questions with depth. How to do it. When someone asks, "How are you?" resist the one-word reply. Instead, answer in 2 to 3 sentences. "I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I just started a new project at work where I'm designing a mobile app, so I've been diving into user experience research lately." Make this your default. It forces you to think on your feet and use varied structures. 11. Attend meetups and language exchanges. Why it matters. Real-world interaction builds fluency and confidence. How to do it. Use meetup.com or local Facebook groups to find English conversation circles in your city. Commit to attending at least twice a month. Bring a small list of conversation starters or thought-provoking questions to avoid awkward silences. 12. Join a book club or discussion group. Why it matters. Engages you with advanced texts and sharpens analytical language skills. How to do it. Choose a club that tackles modern American or British literature. Before each meeting, write down your thoughts on themes, character motivations, and stylistic choices. In the club, use academic transitions. Moreover, conversely, this underscores. 13. Leverage AI for instant feedback. Why it matters. AI bots can correct you patiently, any time of day. How to do it. Chat with tools like ChatGPT or other language bots. Request specific tasks. Correct my paragraph for grammar and style. Or give me 10 idioms for expressing surprise. Treat AI corrections as you would a tutor's. Note, review, and practice. 14. Set SMART goals and track progress. Why it matters. Clear targets and measurable steps keep you motivated. How to do it. Specific. I want to reduce my ums by 50%. Measurable. Record weekly self-talk and count filler words. Achievable. Limit goal to one habit at a time. Relevant. Align goals with your real-life needs, e.g., business presentations. Time-bound. Within 4 weeks. Log results in a journal or spreadsheet and celebrate milestones. 15. Dive into accent reduction. Why it matters. Small pronunciation tweaks increase intelligibility and confidence. How to do it. Focus on trouble sounds. The. Voiced versus voiceless. Flap, tea, butter. And vowel distinctions. Ship versus sheep. Use minimal pairs drills. Ship, sheep, pat, bat. Record and compare with native pronouncing dictionaries. Forvo, Merriam-Webster Audio. 16. Write daily, short and long formats. Why it matters. Writing cements language structures and expands active vocabulary. How to do it. Short, social media captions, LinkedIn posts, forum comments. Long blog posts, journal entries, 300 to 500 words, or mini essays on news topics. After writing, revise for advanced connectors. Furthermore, consequently, nevertheless. 17. Use authentic materials, no learner textbooks. Why it matters. Exposes you to real phrasing, slang, and cultural nuance. How to do it. Swap graded readers for newspapers, the New York Times, magazines, The Atlantic, or academic journals. When you encounter unknown expressions, look them up and note their register, formal, informal, slang. 18. Teach what you learn, why it matters. Explaining concepts deepens your own understanding. How to do it. Volunteer as an English tutor or language exchange partner. Prepare mini lessons on tricky grammar points, e.g., third conditional, or idiom clusters. Field questions. Teaching forces you to clarify your own mental models. 19. Embrace mistakes publicly, why it matters. Reduces fear, builds resilience, and attracts helpful feedback. How to do it. Post voice notes or short videos admitting a recent language fail and how you corrected it. Ask your audience, native or advanced learners, to point out anything that sounds off. Respond gratefully and update your mistake log. 20. Celebrate micro wins and reflect weekly. Why it matters. Maintains motivation over the long haul. How to do it. Every Sunday evening, jot down 3 specific wins. I used the past perfect correctly. I understood 80% of that podcast without transcript. I cracked a joke in English. Review monthly to see cumulative growth. And reward yourself. A new book, a day trip, or a treat. Putting it all together. Choose 3 to 5 of these strategies to start with. Too many at once can be overwhelming. Schedule them into your week, Monday and Wednesday evenings, 30 minutes shadowing TED Talks. Tuesday mornings, 15 minutes. Anki reviews Thursday lunch. Participate in a local language meetup Friday night. Write a 400-word journal entry, Sunday reflection. Update your wins log. As weeks pass, swap in new tips from the list to keep your routine fresh and challenging. Advanced English fluency is not about perfection. It's about steadily expanding your comfort zone, embracing authentic language in all its messy, vibrant glory, and building habits that carry you forward. Integrate these tips and tricks into your life. Track your progress, and watch your confidence and your command of English skyrocket. Which 3 strategies will you implement first? Let me know below, and let's keep this journey rolling together.